Hello there. Welcome back to the booth here in Madrid. That's Randy Buehler, and I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. We have reached the last round of Swiss, and wow, these pairings are jumbled up. It's a mess. It's anybody's game down in the feature match area.
0 intentional draws.
Nobody's sitting down to draw.
Not one. Nobody got paired such that they could draw. None of the 36ers are playing each other. We could have anywhere between 2 and 5 people get in on 4 losses.
This is going to be an insane final round. We're going to keep you up to date. Right now, though, we have Luis Scott-Vargas versus Yian Hsiang Chye down in the feature match area, playing and winning in for top 8. Let's head down right now. Hello and welcome to coverage of Pro Tour Shadows over Innistrad. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Randy Buehler, and we have a monumental final round here with the standings being thrown up like popcorn. It's anybody's game to see who's going to make it into the top 8, but we're going to start off with Luis Scott-Vargas from the United States, the 6-time Pro Tour top 8 competitor himself, playing Black Green Aristocrats. Have the wheels fallen off here?
A little. He got to 12-1, but he's gone loss. He's been unable to get the draw that would have clinched it. He might be able to back into the top 8 with a loss here, but there is no guarantee. If he wants to play tomorrow, if he wants to make sure he gets to play tomorrow, he needs to win this match right here, right now.
His opponent on the other side of the table from Malaysia, Chye Yian Hsiang. Now, Chye's already at 11-4.
Right.
And so,
but you know what?
Must win.
His breakers are better than Luis's.
Wow.
If he wins this match, he probably leapfrogs Luis in the standings.
Okay, well, let's get underway here and see who is going to make it in. This is just crazy. And this is not the only match, of course, in the feature match where we have a lot going on. Now, let's talk about the matchup. It's mono white humans for Chye here. This is the deck that we've seen as one of the format staples. It's had a good amount of success. You know, at Star City Games tournaments leading up here to the Pro Tour. And it is the fastest deck in Standard. On the other side of the table, we've got Black Green Aristocrats here from Luis Scott-Vargas, a deck that they came up with on the Team Channel Fireball and Team Ultra Pro testing squad. And it's been
a deck that Matt Nass came up with, of course.
Exactly. Obviously, Matt Nass came up with this. He's known to come up with these kind of crazy decks, and here we go. A good start from both players. Town Gossip Monger becomes Incited Rabble. There's also Thalia's Lieutenant putting a counter on it. Luis, on the other side, though, has played multiple spells already himself with a Blister Pod and a Loam Dryad.
Yeah, base level strategy here for Chye is pretty straightforward. Just dump your hand on the board, turn them all sideways, and attack.
Wow, and this is a big turn for him as well. He plays Knight of the White Orchid. He's not going to get the bonus of a land here, but it is going to get a +1/+1 counter on Thalia's Lieutenant.
It's a human.
Yeah, and he's going to follow up also with the Dragon Hunter, which does the same. And all of a sudden, he's attacking for 6 damage here on turn 3.
Yeah, he's set up to play Always Watching on each of the next 2 turns as well.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, this could be just the start that Chye needs to get over Luis Scott-Vargas and his Aristocrats deck. Luis, again, he was 12-1. He's lost his last 2 rounds. He was looking really good for him to make top 8 at that point. But it could be in question here if he can't defeat Chye here in the last round of Swiss.
Yeah, it's out of his hands if he loses this. It is definitely in question.
Becomes a tiebreaker scenario there. It looks like he decided to go ahead and chump with Blister Pod. That's going to get him an Eldrazi Scion and have him only take 3 damage that turn, dropping down to 17.
Luis has got some explosive cards. He's got a Cryptolith, right, which can allow all his creatures to tap for mana. So that gives him the ability to, instead of, it may look like he's got 3 mana. It's more like 5.
Right. Go. And it's Blister Pod go, though, for Luis. He does have 3 mana available. In fact, he actually has 4 mana available here.
What could this deck possibly do with 4 mana?
I'm thinking Collected Company.
You would be correct.
And that is what he's going to do.
Spin the wheel. Yep.
Collected Company before blocks, but in the meantime, we saw that Chye did play one of those Always Watchings that you mentioned a minute ago, Randy, and he's just jammed with the team. Okay, this is huge.
Bad.
2 of his main combo pieces here, Nantuko Husk and Zulaport Cutthroat. This is how Luis wins the game when he wins the game. He also can just attack for a ton of damage.
So that Thalia's Lieutenant is 3/3. It looks like Luis is playing is to block with Husk, chump with Blister Pod, eat the Blister Pod so that the Husk can take down, the creature of his choice. That Lieutenant may look like it's 3/3, but Always Watching makes it a 4/4. Decides he's going to eat the 3/3 Knight instead.
Yeah, that's the difference here, and that's why Luis decided to eat what looks like the smaller creature, because it is, but it would mean sacrificing 2 creatures to his Husk to be able to take out the Lieutenant, and he can sacrifice just the Blister Pod and minimize the amount of damage.
Yeah, he managed to only
take
a hit from 1 creature there.
Yeah, he's down to 11.
Pretty big hit. Oh, and the 2 creatures instead of the 4.
The Dragon Hunter as well, yeah, so Cryptolith right now for Scott-Vargas.
A lot of mana.
He's got mana. He needs action here, and it looks like he's going to try to find some. Oh, this is pretty nice for him, a Catacomb Sifter. This is effectively going to give him more mana as well. And there we go.
Elvish Visionary.
Elvish Visionary, one of Luis's favorite cards.
These 3 have summoning sickness. The Husk does not.
Draw him a card.
Nope, by the way, there is a...
Ooh, he found a Duskwatch Recruiter. Go ahead, sorry, Randy.
Well, there's a Westvale Abbey down amongst his lands. So he can actually fire up Ormendahl, which can trigger the Zulaport Cutthroat 5 times for the creatures he sacrifices, and then potentially get a big hit in the air.
Getting in for 14 plus damage in 1 swing.
Yeah, I mean, with Tryon 19, that, depending on how this turn sequence goes, that might be relevant.
That's absolutely relevant. Now, we know that the interesting part about firing up the Ormendahl, as you put it, is that Luis can do that at instant speed, and when it comes to the answers that Chye has in his list, the 4 Declaration in Stone, those don't get the job done in that scenario. Now, they can take out Ormendahl, but if Luis gets to activate block, eat a creature, gain 9 life, you got to figure like he's fine if it gets Declaration in Stone after that.
Yeah, trying to figure out if he's got an attack here. It kind of seems unlikely. I mean, second Always Watching could help, or he could just put a couple more Dragon Hunters on the board. Looks like he's decided for the Always Watching.
Okay.
Creatures are bigger, and yeah, he pushes them all forward.
This does give him a lethal attack. It forces Luis to do something here.
Yeah, Luis was always blocking.
Indeed.
It does mean Nantuko Husk probably has to eat 2 creatures to block something and survive.
Yeah, Chye's doing his best to try to keep Luis's board managed, probably thinking about Westvale Abbey and trying to make sure that Luis
that's a good point.
Doesn't have that ability. The other kind of really cool thing about Always Watching is the Vigilant side of things means that Luis doesn't get to just set up for a huge Nantuko Husk on the crackback. Normally an aggressive deck has to turn all their creatures sideways,
that's a great point.
The shields go down for a turn, and all of a sudden you take 15 or 20 from a Husk, but it's not the case here. Now, the good news from Luis Scott-Vargas' standpoint is that the information is no, right? Like, even if Chye has land plus spell, there's really nothing in the format that matters. So he's not going to die this turn. And looks like Luis is going to take a big hit here and fall to 2.
Scry. Yep.
Does get a Scry. Does get a Cutthroat trigger.
Scry to the bottom.
I think he winds up at 3.
5, 9. Yep. Number 3.
So one of our other matches that we've got going on is Luis Salvato from Argentina. He's on 11-4 playing against Michael Bonde from Denmark, who's also on 11-4. Luis Salvato, up a game. He's playing that Red White Eldrazi deck. Another match update, Andre Strosky playing Green-White Tokens is up a game over Seth Manfield on Esper Control.
Now that one is the one clean winning in, yeah.
Okay. It is Strosky again just playing a winning in. That kid is amazing.
Yeah, Seth only needs a point, and Strosky is on X3-1, so the win gets him to 37. Doesn't have to worry about the tiebreakers amongst the 36s.
Now, I know you can't. Does that mean then if Seth were to lose the match that he would be a potential tiebreaker candidate at X and 4?
He has a decent chance of backing in. His breakers are better than Luis's.
Okay. All right, so this is the big turn here. Luis down to 3 life. And he's doing the math. Remember, his opponent is completely tapped out, so Luis has full reign here to try to figure out what he can do. He's going to draw his card. He finds a Collected Company.
Hello. Yeah. Doesn't need a lot of time to think about that one.
Main phase, Collected Company. What does he find?
Zulaport Cutthroat is lethal, I think.
Yep. And he did. He found it, and he also found a Catacomb Sifter, which gets him an additional creature on the battlefield, and this could very well be lethal.
I think Ormondal is lethal now. Oh, he's just shoving everything out?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, sack those. Tap them for mana first, thanks to Cryptolith Rights. Sack 5 creatures. Trigger two Zulaport Cutthroats, 5 times each. That's 10 damage.
And
then here's a 9
crunch,
power Hasty
sack some
Flyer.
more creatures and kill you. Luis Scott-Vargas takes game 1 from Chye Yian Hsiang. So breathe a sigh of relief on Luis Scott-Vargas' side of the table as Chye has his work cut out for him. He's got to play 2 sideboarded games against Luis to put himself in here, and it has been pretty crazy last round so far. We'll be back right after this.
Unravel the madness. Shadows over Innistrad is now available on Magic Online. Explore the new set by signing up for Magic Online at mtgo.com. Whether riding the bus or waiting for the Pro Tour Finals to begin, Magic Duels is a great way to hone your skills and try new strategies. Featuring hundreds of earnable cards from Magic's latest sets and virtually unlimited AI and online opponents, start playing Magic Duels free today on iPhone, iPad, Xbox One, and Steam.
And welcome back to the feature match area here in Madrid, Spain. Let's take a look at Brad Nelson versus Shota Yasuoka. Brad is on 13-2.
Yeah, he's in.
He's in.
He's one of the 2 people who've completely locked. He would like to be the 2 seed. Shota Yasuoka needs a win.
He needs a win.
Yeah.
He's on 11-3-1 and is trying to finish off Brad here. Brad looks like he's fighting the fight here, though. He's got a World Breaker and he's got a Pyromancer's Goggles on the battlefield, though on the other side of the table, I do see Ob Nixilis reignited there. And World Breaker no longer alive, bumping Shota Yasuoka back up to 20 life, thanks to a Foul Tongue Invocation. So it looks like a close game here, actually.
Yeah, we've seen Brad win a lot of these
He just
late games.
ultimated Ob Nixilis.
Hello.
Oh, that's amazing. So whenever anybody draws a card, Brad's going to lose 2 life, and that's up very, very quickly. Wow.
Ob Nixilis Ultimate.
I don't remember seeing that.
We've seen Ob Nixilis Ultimate today in the feature match on camera. We've seen Narset Ultimate. A lot of Planeswalkers running around. How does Brad feel about copying Tormented Voices now?
Draw 4, half your life's gone. It's pretty good. So Shota Yasuoka very likely to win the game from this position on 19 life, and with Brad Nelson's life total just plummeting here, 4 per turn cycle plus any other cards. It's just whenever a player draws a card, so Shota has some card draw spells of his own, I'm sure. And he's also got a full grip. So yeah, this one looking really good for Shota Yasuoka here in game 1. We're letting our main table finish sideboarding and getting shuffled up. But once they do, we're going to be back up there.
Brad casts Kozilek's Return as a response to Transgress the Mind, just to make sure it winds up in his graveyard instead of in exile.
That is one good way to take care of a dragon. Dragonlord Ojutai is going to attack, but it looks like Pyromancer's Goggles is going to copy Fiery Impulse.
Sure.
And that is enough to kill Dragonlord Ojutai. Still, this sort of passive clock that Yasuoka has set up is going to be so tough for Brad to beat, because he's going to have to come up with 19 damage out of nowhere. Now, I can't think of one way that his deck can do that, Randy.
Well, he's got the Worldbreaker recursion thing going on too, right?
It's
He's
not
got
bad.
a Drownyard Temple to sack as well, so it comes back immediately. It's not even sacrificing a land, really. He's just spending 3 extra mana.
Yeah, you know, the Fall of the Titans has been the biggest flurry finish that we've seen from Brad Nelson's deck, and it is capable of doing huge amounts of damage.
True story.
Here's Worldbreaker again, but nothing really great to hit. He's going to exile a land, but you can see Shota's already got 11 lands on the battlefield, so it's not exactly a blowout here. Brad Nelson down to 14 life thanks to that emblem. Looks like Clash of Wills here from Yasuoka.
Oh, he's just countering the Worldbreaker.
Yeah, he's just going to counter it.
Sure. I mean, the one problem Brad could have with this Fall of the Titans plan is Shota's got the one deck in the format that actually has counterspells in
Yeah.
it. Silumgar Scorn
Yep.
is UU counter target spell. Haven't seen much of that. I mean, we heard Reduke in the in the deck tech we just said, say blue isn't the best color for control decks right now, but Shota still thinks it is.
Yeah. Clash of Will is also an excellent tool against, big X spells that are trying to spend a ton of mana at once. Brad's down to 10 now. There's a Jace on the battlefield for Yasuoka. This sequence certainly benefits, or Shota will win if this is Brad's plan, just to keep on casting World Breakers.
Trigger on.
Yeah, that plan doesn't seem like it races the Ob Nixilis emblem.
Not at all. Though I will say that the Jace would have been pretty insane. Right? I mean, tap, you lose 2 life. It's pretty good.
World Breakers.
Got scorned.
Cast ability works, but the creature does not come into play.
Yeah.
It's counterspelled.
And that means that Yasuoka's life total is quite comfy here at 19 and unlikely to change in the near future. Brad's looking at the board saying and thinking, how do I get through this emblem? He's just going to have to pass the turn back. Yasuoka draws a card that's going to drop Nelson down to 8. Yasuoka passes the turn back, which is going to have Brad draw a card, drop him down to 6. Tick-tock. Just feel like Ob Nixilis is standing behind Brad with his arms folded, just shaking his head back there. And here's the 3rd time in a row that we've seen World Breaker hit the stack. It is yet to resolve here.
It's been whittling away at Shota's lands, though.
It has. That said, he still has 9.
Yeah, we're holding that front table. So I want to see how this ends. I think this Ob Nixilis emblem is going to get it, but I've written off Brad Nelson too many times today to do it again.
I do too, yeah. We're going to stay here, and as you can see in the upper right part of your screen, we're actually having Luis and Chye just go ahead and hold on for a minute for us so that we don't miss anything. That match can go very, very quickly. Both decks playing a lot of cheap creatures and cheap spells. Yasuoka just simply passes the turn back. That's going to drop Nelson down, and you can see his life total plummeting here. He's down to 2. He's got to come up with 19 damage right now. Well, make that 14 damage right now. Can he do it? This deck is actually capable of it. Yasuoka is going to be keenly aware of this interaction with Pyromancer's goggles. Brad's going to need to cast a spell to get Surge, which is exactly what he's going to do. You see he fires off Fiery Impulse to do a couple of damage, and here we go. Yasuoka just has to show him a counter spell, and he's got it. In fact, he's got 2 to counter the copy as well, and that will do it for game 1. Shota, Yasuoka takes that game against Brad Nelson. Of course, that game means a lot more to Shota than it does to Brad. Brad is in already and playing for seed.
But we need another Hall of Famer in our top 8, don't we?
Yeah, I think we do. I'll take as many as I can get. Now, I'm sure that Chye disagrees with me on that one. As Chye, this is his 3rd Pro Tour. He actually qualified via Magic Online.
Nice.
Yeah. And he's looking to take down Luis and try to force a game 3 here. He's got a nice start as well with a Dragon Hunter and a Consul's Lieutenant. Cryptolith Right, not explosive yet for Luis Scott-Vargas. It does make his Blister Pod able to tap for mana, but as the board sits, any type of augmentation or removal spell is going to get a nice little hit in for Chye. But if he doesn't, the Blister Pod's actually holding back the Dragon Hunter quite cleanly here.
Consul's Lieutenant, too.
Give you 4 mana, so
It's got First Strike, so he can rumble with that.
Guessing he's not going to connect with Luis.
I'm with you on that one. Yeah, he doesn't want to let it get renowned.
Is this a Griff Spoon? It is.
Oh, this is one of his
To
2
the air.
copies of Griff Spoon. Luis cannot chump block quickly enough, but he is going to take 3 from the Dragon Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, Chye had to decide whether he wanted to send potentially the Consul's Lieutenant to the air so that he could get the Renown trigger, but
That is a big deal. He decided to diversify his threats out a little
Yeah.
bit and get in for sure damage and force a chump block, because really Luis does not want to let Consul's Lieutenant get renown. Once it gets renown, it gets a +1/+1 counter. And it also has the ability that whenever it attacks, if it's renowned, other attacking creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. So it just really feeds into this swarm mentality that this deck has. This is a really good start for Chye here. And a fairly slow one for Scott-Vargas, though we have seen before that he's got 4 mana, and there it is, Collected Company. This is huge for Luis. He needs to hit some good ones here. The town gossip monger looks like it's ready to transform into an incited rabble there for next turn, so Luis has to hit well. That is the one thing about this mono white human deck, is that it gives you no breathing room. Luis nods his head, presumably lamenting his luck.
There's a couple of visionaries in there. I can't tell what else.
Okay. Looks like he's already got an Nantuko Husk in his hand. And what Luis is doing is he's comparing his hand to the options that he has and trying to plan out the next few turns.
Who needs Elvish Visionary?
What did he hit?
Liliana plus Zulaport Cutthroat.
Okay, not bad at all.
He's got a Cutthroat in his hand as well, by the way.
Okay. Wow. Okay, that's explosive. The second Cutthroat's a really big deal. Now, it
and
probably,
a Nantuko Husk?
And a Husk. He's got a husk in his hand as well. Yeah, it might not matter immediately. He might even wait on it so it doesn't get declaration in stone. You know, if he gets 2 of his Cutthroats taken. Although now that I say that, if he can get the Husk down, he can protect from that.
Yeah.
But in any case,
there is a declaration of stone in Chye's hand.
Oh, jeez.
That is a thing Luis has to guard against. His mana's a little tight. Does have the Cryptolith, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll block.
Yeah, mana. Chye says block.
Chye says I block.
Awesome.
That's pretty great. That's really impressive. I'm very impressed that Chye's able to, you know, still have some fun with it down there. Like, I would be shaking nervous playing against Luis in this high pressure scenario for my first Pro Tour top 8. Are you kidding me?
So Luis sacks a Cutthroat because he wants to flip Liliana, who can of course bring the Cutthroat back.
Right, which I'm assuming is his primary plan here. It also gets him, of course, a zombie token. Cutthroat is back, and the Nantuko Husk is on the battlefield here. That's really key to keep that declaration in stone at bay. I mean, it can still kill 1, but it's a huge difference. Also, the difference between one of these being in the graveyard and being exiled can be big, too.
Yeah, not nearly as big as it was back when Rally the Ancestors was in the format.
Totally.
It's only Liliana who can resurrect dead things.
All right, well, I can tell you that one of our Luises has won their match in the feature match area. Luis Salvato defeats Michael Bonde 2-0 and improves to 12-4, putting him
he gets the sweat.
In that sweat, yeah.
He has won a sweat. You're going to torture them, right? You're going to read the top 8
you
this time?
You have no idea what I'm going to do to these people. It's going to be amazing.
You have to go very slowly.
Long pauses. It's just going to be
something out of like a gothic horror film.
Yeah,
maybe?
they might zoom in on me really close, you know.
Look, the flavor judge approves.
I always
You're going to be
say
standing
that.
in a graveyard feature match area.
I always say that, but then I get up there and I feel bad, like, you know, making him squirm too much, and I just read it.
Correct. Only one does not have summon signal. No, they all have summon signal. Sorry.
Okay. Came back.
16 to 18 are the life totals here, and here is that declaration in stone.
Yeah, he's going to go for the Husk.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
I agree.
And
Luis is going to let it get exiled because he wants the clue token.
He wants the clue, and he's got the Cryptolith right. I think those creatures all have summoning sickness, though, so he can't actually use it right now.
No.
Correct.
I'm glad I didn't.
Looks like this is going to be Catacomb Sifter for Scott-Vargas.
Second declaration is done would be kind of insane. There's no longer a sack outlet.
Wow. And here's another Catacomb Sifter. So Luis has thoroughly gummed up the board here. Chye needs to find a way to push through for damage. He has not transformed his town Gossip Monger. He doesn't want to send it into the fray here and just watch it die. He does still have Griff's boon on that Dragon Hunter that's chipping away. But I think Scott-Vargas is fine taking 3 a turn here and feeling like he can set up some type of win condition if he can find the right
He's got to draw
cards.
one. I think he's holding a pair of Cryptolith Rights, which don't do anything. I mean,
That is huge if that's the case. Now, he's got that clue token.
I mean, Westvale Abbey might be lethal on the spot.
Elvish Visionary.
It's at least close. But he has no sack outlet right now, so he can't really do a combo kill.
Finds another Elvish Visionary.
Yeah, Visionary and a Visionary. And he's got so many mana. The first Cryptolith Right obviously turns all these creatures on. But can he do anything with all this mana?
This is going to be the clue token.
Scry 2. 15 to 16.
Remember, this is a scry. He
Yeah.
needs to find an Nantuko
Okay,
Husk.
he sacked the Scion first before activating the clue.
That's
2
right.
Catacomb Sifter, so he gets 2 Scries. Now finally spends that 2 mana on the clue because he found something he wants.
And it's an Nantuko Husk.
There you go. Is this
1,
lethal
2,
on the
3.
spot?
This has to be lethal, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
It's-
Without them, yes.
It's
It's got to be. Chye's at 16 life. Luis Scott-Vargas into the top 8 with the win here.
So that was 10. 5 creatures and a bunch of Scries.
Looks like it. Scrying to the bottom. Looking for a specific card. Scrying to the bottom. Chye's down to 6 life.
Bring you for 4. Okay.
Sack. You go down to 4.
I may not chain me. I got 40.
What?
You go down to 2, you go down to 1, and you go down to 0. Luis Scott-Vargas is into the top 8. That's back-to-back Pro Tour top 8s. Number 7 for
Pretty
Luis
crazy.
Scott-Vargas. Congratulations to him, and I have to say, fantastic run there by Chye. I still can't believe how composed he was in that match.
True.
Unbelievable stuff from him, and we will be seeing him again.
Yep, he's 11 and 5. He probably falls out of the top 16, but he does get a Pro Tour invite.
Yeah, so we'll see you in Australia. Maybe even not that far for him. Maybe he's from Malaysia.
It's true. Sydney is not the
Little hop
not the
for
exotic
him.
trip that it is for a lot of us.
All right, another super important match here for Shota Yasuoka. It's not as important for Brad. Brad's actually already in the top 8. Brad Nelson on the left side of your screen there. But Shota Yasuoka is not. He needs to win this to get in. He's sitting at 11, 3, and 1 on his life total and up a game here. He's playing Transgress the Mind, and once again we see Ob Nixilis reignited sitting on the battlefield here. But if Shota can win this game, you mentioned it. How many Hall of Famers can we pack into one top 8 here?
This is crazy.
We've already
I
got
think it's-
Finkel, LSV.
Yeah, Baby Shota. I think it's a testament to this standard, too. I mean, a lot of these Hall of Famers, a lot of these, the best players in Standard, Brad Nelson is, Hall of Fame quality player, especially in Standard. They're doing better than their other teammates, even with the same decks.
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
Interesting.
Shota's the only guy winning with Esper Dragons. Finkel's by far the most successful Pantheon player this weekend.
And Luis out ahead of the pack as well, right?
Yeah.
With the black green.
I think the format is quite skill testing.
He's got
Yeah, I don't think it's about, who draws better. It's about who figures out what to do with these resources once they draw them.
I might.
Big graveyard there for Brad Nelson. Playing this Goggle ramp deck. It looks like Goggle got exiled there. Brad's going to turn his Den Protector face up and get something.
I think he's debating Traverse the Ulvenwald or another Den Protector.
And he's just going to take the more conservative route, or the more long game route, I should say, and
Yep.
take the Den Protector. Anguish Unmaking, though, is going to take care of that original Den Protector and kind of shut
Yeah.
off the loop.
Yeah, crucially exiling it.
Okay, Hedron Archive now for Nelson. Shota's deciding if he wants to negate this or not, and he does. But wait, there's more. Tormenting Voice here for Brad Nelson. And pass the turn. Yasuoka again gets to untap with an active Planeswalker here, drawing him extra cards, Ob Nixilis, and bolstering his position. against Brad Nelson. Also, for control players watching, it's absolutely absurd to watch how quickly Shota Yasuoka plays. I think he's one of the most intimidating players to play against at the Pro Tour. Standing down in the feature match area, he is so quick. He never misses anything.
Jeez.
It's crazy.
Yeah, just instant decisions and obviously making the right ones most of the time.
All right, another match update. Seth Manfield versus Andre Strosky. That's going to game 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on that one. That's another Esper control in the hands of Seth Manfield. Andre is on green-white tokens, and I'm not surprised to hear that they're going to 3. The green-white deck probably has a pretty good game 1, but Esper against a bunch of small creatures is probably not the best-case scenario for Strosky, so we're going to get a game 3 there out of the post-board games. Heater and Archive for Nelson.
Wow.
That's going to get countered as well.
Shows he's fighting the card drawing.
That's right. Dragonlord Ojutai makes that into a hard counter, and we are ticking up dangerously close to another ultimate for Ob Nixilis. Wow, and here's a duress. It's going to take away Chandra. Now
you want the rending volley, right?
Yeah, that was Brad maybe being a little hopeful, but I would assume that Chandra would be the choice here. Goblin Dark Dwellers, of course, not an option. He did take it. Yeah. All right, he just wants to protect his Dragonlord Ojutai.
Absolutely.
You know, the reason I said that was because he's got another one in his hand.
Right, I saw it.
Yeah, but I suppose he just wants to make sure to try to shut the door immediately because he wants to just try to get Ob Nixilis up to ultimate range again. Makes a lot of sense when you think about it.
And he can counterspell the Chandra.
He's got a counter in his hand?
Pretty sure.
He must. He's got
I don't
6
think he
cards
would
in
have
his
countered
hand.
2 Hedron Archives if that was his last counter.
Yeah, I agree.
There's
is that a
grip.
Dark Petition in his hand as well? Yeah, it was.
Along with 2 Silumgar Scorns, an Anguished Unmaking, a Foul Tongue Invocation, and some land.
Okay. I'm wondering if Brad would rather
Goblin,
go grab some dinner with his friends or something at this point.
He's going to hang out for the top 8 announcement. Come on.
Fair enough.
So Goblin Dark Dwellers gets the rending volley, so I think that's what Shota saw. Sure, he had a backup Dragonlord Ojutai, but he needed to...
He didn't want to have to lose both of them.
Exactly.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. In the meantime, he has another duress anyway. This is just an embarrassment of riches here for Shota Yasuoka. And that's it. All lands in hand for Nelson. Wow. Shota Yasuoka disassembles the Goggles deck, and he's put himself into yet another top 8. Remember, he's in the Hall of Fame. He says, you know, thanks for voting me in, guys. I belong. Another top 8 for Shota.
Wow.
So we've got Luis Scott-Vargas with the victory. We've got Shota Yasuoka with the victory, and Luis Salvato also with a win this round. That leaves us just with Andre Strosky and Seth Manfield. Let's check in with them as they're getting going in game 3 here. Now, again, I want to recap. So Manfield's on 12-3, Strosky's on 11-3-1. What does it mean for each player?
Strosky is in with a win, out with a loss.
And for Manfield?
He would be in with a draw, which he won't get. He might be able to back in.
So backing in, meaning if he loses, he could get in.
He could lose and still win.
And if he wins, he's in. That's easy.
Yeah, clearly if he wins, he's in.
Yep.
If he loses, Seth is in good shape. He actually has the best tiebreakers in the field right now.
Oh, man, look at this from Seth. He's got a duress, but it looks like it's a little late. Evolutionary Leap already on the battlefield. That's the kind of card that can be very difficult for the Esper decks to grind through as they can generate so much card advantage from that card.
Yeah, Seth not interested in leaving this to tiebreakers, but happy to have the backup plan in case. World champion. You know, if he makes this top 8, that this Player of the Year race that everyone's been just conceding to Owen Turtenwald, it gets tight.
This is where that happens, right? You know, the PT is when the big spikes in pro points come
Absolutely.
up.
I mean, even if Seth loses this and misses top 8, he gets 15 pro points. I don't know how many Owen's going to get, but he's had his worst pro tour in a while. I mean, he made day 2. I'm guessing he's going to finish in the money somewhere. But, you know, maybe he gets 5, 6, 7 points. Seth cuts the lead by 10. And that's if Seth misses top 8. Put Seth in the top 8, and we got a horse race for Player of the Year this year.
I like hearing that. That makes the entertainment value go up for sure. Andre Strosky, of course, very solid player with a young career. He's already got 2 Pro Tour top 8s on his resume. He's got 1 GP top 8 as well.
Been testing with face-to-face games now. The last couple events.
Interesting.
This is their green-white token deck.
Looks like Andre a little short on mana here, but still able to develop his board pretty cleanly. He's going to play a Sylvan Advocate and pass the turn with 1 mana up. He can use that mana for the Evolutionary Leap or even for his Hangerback Walker. Kalidas on the other side of the table is pretty ominous. And it's attacking. No block from Strosky. He doesn't want to take the risk with 4 mana open. There's so many things that can go horribly wrong for him with the block there, as he'd have to double block to actually kill Kalidas. And it looks like Manfield's being the aggressor here, actually. Instead of trying to play the remove all your stuff and slowly fall behind an Evolutionary Leap game, he's just playing 2 of the most powerful mythics back to back. He just played Kalidas into Dragonlord Ojutai and says, look, I've got better creatures than you.
It's pretty smart, actually.
It is. I mean, green-white tokens, how does it take care of a Dragonlord Ojutai here? It's pretty difficult. Looks like a Gideon emblem here, and Strosky says, well, I guess we're going to have to fight then. He put a counter on his Hangerback Walker, and with that Gideon emblem, he's attacking for 4 here.
Would you like to trade your dragon for my 3/3 Hangerback Walker? No, not even a little bit.
Oh, here's Grasp of Darkness to take down the Sylvan Advocate and clear the way for an 8-point hit. Also 3 going back to Manfield here. And this one could get away from Strosky pretty quickly, as he just doesn't seem well set up to have answers for the threats from Manfield, which isn't normally how you'd think this type of matchup would play out. But
and look how well this sequencing has worked out for Seth. He got Strosky, he put him under enough pressure that he has to tap out, and now he can kill things while there's no mana for Evolutionary Leap.
Insane.
Super well played by Seth.
Yeah, I love this. And now look at this. And look at this. Strosky gives up. He just doesn't have it. And Seth Manfield wins the match 2-1. Strosky is going to have to settle for a 12-3-1, which is going to put him
top 16.
Top 16. It's like a really solid Pro Tour finish. But I'll tell you what, nobody is as hard on himself as Strosky is. He is going to be very devastated about this. That said, Seth Manfield, congratulations. You're in to the top 8 here at X and 3. Wow.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to get this green-white tokens deck in. It's done quite well for the Face-to Games crew. There's actually, you know, in addition to Andre Strosky, Steve Rubin has tested with them for this event for the first time and is on that green-white tokens deck. And not in the feature match area. He's kind of off-camera paired against John Finkel. So we could have seen 2 of that deck in the top 8. I have no idea what the Finkel result is.
John deciding to play.
Sure.
Why not? He likes playing Magic. You know, I'll show up and play it. But I got to say,
doesn't have any reason to, you know, let Steve Rubin in the top 8 versus whoever would get in with you, Steve. So
yeah, this top 8 is shaping up to be an all-timer here, though. I mean, we've got Hall of Famers. We've got some really big names. I mean, our world champion just won his win-in match to get to the top 8 to add his list.
Player of the Year race. I bet he's ahead of Owen by the end of this.
Do you think so? By the end of it?
It's either going to be like super close or edge Seth Manfield.
Depending on where he finishes. And
I mean,
that kind
just
of
losing in the quarters might be enough to leapfrog Owen. I'm kind of trying to remember the math in my head. Feels like Owen's lead was 10, 15 points.
Okay.
Wow.
So that's another new thing that we've added to the table here as well.
We needed more drama for Sydney.
Yeah, that's what we needed, right? And of course, you know, we're going to be bringing you updates of all the action from around the floor as well about who's making it into the top 8. Let's head to the news desk in Rich Hagan.
Okay, you are looking live at 3 matches that could determine top 8 places. I can tell you that 6 places in the top 8 are now known. Here they are. John Finkel is in on 43 points. 43, you ask? He was on 42. That's because he intentionally drew at 1 game all. He decided not to play game 3, and that means that Steve Rubin is in on 37 points. Finkel in, Rubin in. Brad Nelson on 39 is in. Shota Yasuoka on 37 is in.
Check.
Yep, we hear you, Ryan. Seth Manfield is on 39 and is in. Luis Scott-Vargas is on 39 and is in. The only player who has 36 points already is Luis Salvato of Argentina, 62.2% tiebreak, and Joel Larsson of Sweden. But Joel is infinitely far back. But right there on screen, the matches that matter. Brian David Marshall, who's down there? What have you got?
All right, we're watching a match between Andrea Mengucci and Katsuhiro Mori going to game 3, 75-card mirror match. Christian Calcano, you play tested with these guys. What happens here in the mirror?
Well, I know that like our sideboard options were like Tragic Arrogance and a Dispel, and at one point we were bringing in a third Avacyn, but we don't have it anymore. So I assume that they're just keeping in Tragic and Dispel, and just hoping that one of them can get off a company first. Now that Mori's on the play, I guess he's probably favored. But Mori is the main reason I feel that myself and Mengucci both played this deck, because like testing with him, like he played really, really well. But obviously, like Mengucci's a very strong player, and can't say he was going to win. They're both so good.
All right, congratulations, Christian Calcano, by the way, on getting to 11-5 and securing gold. He plays on the Pro Tour all next year. All right, come on over here and let's see what we can watch here in Game 3.
All right, thanks, BDM. So they're just gearing up for that. So to let you know, Luis Salvato is in prime position. I told you 6 are in already. Finkel, Nelson, Manfield, Scott-Vargas, Rubin, Yasuoka. Salvato already has his 12th win, and he has pretty decent tie breaks at 62 and a bit percent. That potentially would be the 7th player in your top 8. The winner of this game, Mengucci against Mori, you see Andrea Mengucci on the left there, Mori on the right, 2005 world champion, would be the next most likely, since they are currently the best up on tiebreaks. If that doesn't work out, the players next to them, you see Lucas Blahon there from Eureka on the left in the middle against Justin Cohen. The winner of that match is currently most likely to be in the 8-9 range. And then we're just looking at Table 8. That looks like Table 8 is done. We see Yuya Watanabe getting up, Gregor Kowalski getting up. Let's see if we can get a result from that Yuya Watanabe, Gregor Kowalski match. We'll find that out coming through on Table 8 as we gear up for Katsuhiro Mori. You see a negate in hand there.
All right, Rich, we are underway. Both these players playing at lightning speed. The players do have some extra time, it looks like. I'm looking at the slip. It looks like they have 8 extra minutes. There's only 4 minutes left in the round. All right, I'm going to get a look at the hands here. We gotta clear out.
Judges,
I'm sorry.
Judges, if you could help us. Hey, if you could help
Okay.
us. People are out.
There's a lot of interest in this match. A lot of crowding. We're trying to keep people out of the area. We're trying to shoo them away.
So everywhere at the end of this.
So it looks like there was a Duskwatch Recruiter in hand for Katsuhiro Mori, but he didn't have a land that came into play untapped on turn 2. All right, turn 3. There is Nissa. Goes and gets his 4th land. Okay, 3rd land. There you see the slap in the face for Mori. Something he's done for a long time. Passes the turn on turn 4. Bounding Krasis comes out down for Andrea Mengucci, and Mori uses that opportunity to cast Collected Company.
All right, so there you get a look at Katsuhiro Mori. Looks like 2 there, and
We're in the shot. in the shot.
As you can tell, quite a lot of interest in what's going on here, which is no surprise. By our reckoning, the winner of this match could be 7, could be 8, could be 9. Similar applies to the winner of Justin Cohen and Lucas Blahon next door. There's Cohen, Rookie of the Year on the right. Blahon hiding out behind Andrea Mengucci. Table 8 is done. That's Yuya Watanabe against Gregor Kowalski. Still waiting to get confirmation on the result of that one.
Kowalski won that match.
Right. Fantastic. So that means Yuya Watanabe is out, 11-5, the two-time player of the year. Gregor Kowalski, fantastic performance by the Polish player. Good at the GP level, but this is the first time he's been anywhere near this deep at the Pro Tour. Fantastic performance by him. Up to 36 points. He joins the scrum. Now, looking at his tiebreaks, he came in 15th place, 59%. There are a lot of people ahead of him. Both Cohen, Blahon, Mengucci, Mori, they're all ahead of him in the queue. And Salvato was at the top of that pile. Right now, remember, we have 6 slots known, 2 still remaining up for grabs. Salvato in pole position right now. Winner of this, most likely to be 7, 8, 9. And then Cohen, Blahon, most likely to finish perhaps 9th, somewhere in there. But tie-breaks are very tight on these last tables.
Collected company there for Andrea Mengucci. Hit a Reflector Mage and a Sylvan Advocate and bounced the Duskwatch Recruiter back to Mori's hand.
So both these players have titles to their name. Mengucci, of course, a World Magic Cup champion, part of Team Italy with Marco Camiluzzi. They were both in the feature match area earlier this afternoon, looking for an individual title now.
Rich, looking at Mori's hand, he's holding Negate, Collected Company, Jace, and a pair of Duskwatch Recruiters.
Yep, we see that BDM there. Nice, good shot there from the overhead. See Pro Tour Geneva champion Mike Rohn in the background on the right of your screen. Almost a decade ago, he was a limited Pro Tour champion. Back to Mengucci. 4 lands in play and a lot of cards in hand. This
they
is
look
not
pretty heavy there.
They really do. He's not liking this, so...
They've just been trading collected companies back and forth. Nissa and Duskwatch Recruiter for Mengucci. There's his 5th land. He puts it in his hand and then promptly plays it.
You have to feel, if you are in Argentina watching us right now, look, we don't want to say it is good news, but it is certainly Luis Salvato came in pole position and he did everything asked of him. The Super Sunday Series champion from last year played again in the Super Sunday Series this year, and he is in pole position for 7th. These two in pole position, we think, for 8th. Justin Cohen waiting in the wings, as is Lucas Blahon. Now, you can probably just hear in the background, round 15 is over, they're saying. So we are heading towards extra turns. And bear in mind that if these matches go to draws, that helps no one. And then who knows how far down the tie breaks go.
So, Rich, you're right. Time has been called, but Mori and Mengucci have an 8-minute extension.
Oh, wow.
Cohen and Blahon are going to turns.
So here's the scenario. We put a winner
There's
of
a
Cohen
tracker.
Yep, a winner of Cohen Blahon. At that point, they would be, as it stands, in the top 8, we would imagine. But with the winner of Mengucci and Mori overtaking them, most likely. But if Mengucci and Mori went to a draw, that could let in someone further down the chain, or indeed the winner of Cohen Blahon. So when Cohen and Blahon finish their turns, the winner is going to be avidly interested in the last 7, 6, 5 minutes of this match that you're watching live from the floor of Pro Tour Shadows over Innistrad. Brian David Marshall in the thick of things on the floor. Rich Hagan here at the news desk. Hope you're enjoying what really is extended coverage, wirelessly extended coverage, come to think of it, of Pro Tour Shadows over Innistrad. We've never been able to do this for you before, and we're very glad to bring it to you.
Bounding Craces at the end of the turn for Mengucci. He's working his flipped Nissa.
A little move it along if you would from Katsuhiro Mori. He understands how horrific a draw would be for either of them. Alexa Talarov, just at top left of your shot there from Serbia. He's had a good run again at this one.
By the way, I just want to give a shout out to John Malloy and Jack Lipke, who are tag teaming the camera on this. They have this incredible camera rig, but it is incredibly arduous to hold it up over the match, and they are tag teaming this so that we can bring you live match coverage here at the end of the last round of the Pro Tour.
So 5 mana from Mengucci.
For Tragic Arrogance.
Which has been, BDM, one of the great cards of the weekend. We have seen that card do so much work. Right now, we're going to see a very, very empty board, at least almost empty board, as a result of Tragic Arrogance. Depending maybe on what Murray has to say about it. Bye, 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 bye. There we go. That's a bit better.
Dromica's Command takes out the Jace. Dispel.
Oh, classic counterspell war. And Mengucci can't get it done fast enough.
Another Jace.
Andrea Mengucci, the loyalty is ticking away.
Transform Jace, negate. Let me see if I can find out where we are in terms of life totals.
Mengucci at breakneck pace now. The timer you see on the top left of your screen, that is attached now to this match. 4 minutes to go here. Cohen and Blahon still in the background.
Gibson, look to your left now. All right.
Collected Company here from Mori. World Champion and former Rookie of the Year. Tireless Tracker. Bounding Crasis.
These two could still draw. BDM, we need life totals if you can get them for us. I know it's very hard to actually find those bits of paper, but keep us up with the life totals, please.
I've got a judge on it right now. It is 14 for Katsuhiro Mori and 20 for Andrea Mengucci.
Oh, this has draw written all over it, BDM.
We still have 3 minutes before turns are called here. Again, an 8-minute extension on the round.
Meanwhile, Lucas Blahon and Justin Cohen are over. What was the result of that match? We need the result of Cohen and Blahon to see who is sweating on 7, 8, 9. So we see if we can get a word with Lucas Blahon and find out whether he won that match.
Lucas, what happened? Tell us what happened here, Lucas.
Well, I won. What do you mean, like last turn, or?
Yeah, tell us what happened in the last turn of the game.
Well, I mean, I attacked with my creatures with 1 too many, but he didn't have anything, so next turn I killed him with the attack.
Okay, good luck during the top 8 announcement.
Yeah, announcement being the important word in that sentence, because he could be 7, he could be 8, he could be 9. That's our best guess right now. Other matches still playing. We know Joel Larson is up to 36 points. We know Gregor Kowalski is up to 36 points, but without fantastic tie breaks. Blahon now on 36. The winner here will get to 36. Already there, Luis Salvato from Argentina. Can either of these two leapfrog one of Salvato or Blowhon?
Maury passed the turn with no play. Duskwatch Recruiter transformed. Jace is about to transform as well.
Only 4 matches remain of the Swiss rounds of Pro Tour Shadows over Innistrad.
Let me tell you, none of them are anywhere near the top tables. This is the only relevant match that still matters.
Here we go again from Mengucci. Tragic Arrogance. And BDM, like the pressure that these two players are under right now as Mengucci tries to make his choices here. It's like, this, I think this, no, this, yes, this is what I'm doing. Immense. Less than a minute to go, plus 5 extra turns.
Yeah, we're on 15 seconds here before extra turns.
Okay.
There's Jace Friend's Prodigy. There's a Duskwatch Recruiter. And time has been called.
Right. So here we go. Judges aplenty around the table.
3 cards in hand for Maury.
So a reminder in terms of life BDM, Mengucci's way up on 20 and Maury's round about 15. Was that right?
He was on 14.
14.
Okay. We have to back up a little bit here.
Okay.
Because Mengucci forgot that he was no longer getting the creature discount because the Duskwatch Recruiter that had transformed was in the graveyard after the Tragic Arrogance. My mic is dead, guys.
What?
My mic is dead.
Dead?
All right, so here comes Avacyn from Katsuhiro Mori. Watanabe watching his compatriot here. Suchin Kuo in the glasses. Eric Severson on the right there.
Mengucci activates the Duskwatch Recruiter. Activates Jace. See him discarding a Dispel. The score is still 20-14.
Quiet. Okay.
Flashes back a collected company. There's another Jace and a Reflector Mage off the collected company. This is turn 2. Mengucci does not have a lot of time. He bounces Avison. Plays Dragon Lord Dramoka. Before that resolves, Mori wants to just read the card again. He has a Japanese one in his sideboard. He casts Bounding Krasis to tap the Sylvan Advocate. I gotta tell you, this looks like we are heading to an unintentional draw here.
And it is, BDM, it is the most unintentional of draws. I mean, in the last round, I'm sure they'll be very proud of themselves after the match in terms of what they've accomplished this weekend. But right now, players who are on 36 points, Luis Salvato will be thrilled if this match goes to a draw. So will all of Argentinian Magic, because that will very likely cement his place in the top 8, because there'll be one fewer person with a good tiebreak on 36. Right now, Lucas Blajon will be thrilled if these two go to a draw. It looks likely that Lucas Blajon would be the beneficiary of this being a draw.
And Mori is cashing in his Jace for a collected company. Okay. What is he going to find? Pair of Reflector Mages.
And Reflective Mages right now, as we're down in the thick of the action in the final moments.
Bounces the Dragon Lord. Bounces the Jace Friends Prodigy.
Brian, can you imagine any way that Mori can win this from here?
I can't see it.
Now, again, if you're Polish and you're supporting Gregor Kowalski, he's on 36 points. He is in the tiebreak shuffle. Joel Larsson from Sweden, he was way behind on tiebreak. It's like full 6-7% behind. Don't see how the math can work out for Joel. Great finish, of course, 12-4, but I don't see that there. Blajon in the mix. A winner here would be Salvato, absolutely in the mix. There's the line. You see Andre Strasky there on the left. He just missed out. He finished on 34 points, losing to Seth Manfield in the last round. Remember, we know Finkel in, Nelson in, Manfield in, Scott-Vargas in, Rubin in, Yasuoka in. A top 8 for the ages. 2 more slots to fill. Who gets them? While we wait for the top 8 announcement, I can tell you that many of the main protagonists from this extraordinary afternoon of Magic will be talking live with BDM. Already, players who are in the top 8, you'll hear in their own words what it means to them to be back yet again in some cases for the Sunday shootout tomorrow.
We have a transformed Nissa here. An elemental token, and Andrea's board is quite whittled down at this point.
It really is. But
this is turn 4. Mori gets one more turn.
Is Mori going to come up one turn short?
You might have to go back to B.
It's starting to look like that.
Do you want to say this way? Oh, okay, understood. Never mind.
Right after this action, we have a couple Hall of Famers lined up. We're going to talk to them right here on the floor. I can tell you batteries are dying in people's equipment as we go on. Just one more turn remains of the Swiss rounds. And here it comes. This is the last turn of the Swiss rounds here at Pro Tour. And Archangel Avison gets played by Mengucci.
So it's just the Yavimai
Jace
Coast.
activates.
Yep. Yavimai Coast. Over we go. Transformation. It's been a theme all weekend long, and we still don't know the shape of the top 8.
Mengucci is resigned to the draw here. Oh, wait, no. He wants to show his hand.
So,
Shows
Mori
the
is...
collected company. Shows the Dragon Lord. These two players have been playtesting together for weeks. They're on the same deck, 75 cards. A little bit of imploring eyes on each side. Mengucci says, "You have no more reflector mages."
Extraordinarily, this is not even the last match of the Swiss. Right now, Kentaro Yamamoto and Paul Cheon are in turn 5 of their extra turns. This is the tournament that will not die. It's kind of appropriate with all the zombies running around, I suppose. But we are moments away from knowing, are we about to see a draw?
See Mengucci going through the motions, saying what's going to happen on the subsequent turns if they existed. Is it a draw or is it a concession?
Certainly judges there, BDM.
Yes.
I assume that we're going to get a point where they are told to basically sweep up their permanents and shake hands.
That's what's happening right now. Oh, Mengucci says, no, no, no. It's going to be a draw. No, please. And in the end, Mengucci, Mori's teammate, gets the concession. An emotional moment for Andrea Mengucci, World Magic Cup champion.
He kisses his teammate, and Andrea Mengucci will be in the top 8 of Pro Tour. Shadows over Innistrad, we think. because he goes to 36 points.
Heartbreak for Mori, joy for Andrea Mengucci.
Well, potential joy at the very least. Mori will be on 33, Mengucci on 36, Blahon is on 36, Kowalski 36, Larson 36, and Luis Salvato, who a very long time ago now got himself to 36 and had the best tiebreak of the bunch. So, yeah, that was a little bit of MTG Mint Card special there for you at the very back end of Pro Tour Shadows over Innistrad. Now, of course, if you're John Finkel or Brad Nelson or Luis Scott-Vargas, well, you didn't have to wait quite so long to finally get yourself in. And it is worth reflecting already across social media, so many of you are saying this is shaping up to be one of the greatest Pro Tour top 8s ever. And it's hard to argue. John Finkel, remember, he is here in his 16th Pro Tour top 8. That's every Pro Tour for a stretch of 4 years, back to back to back to back to back, if you ran them together. Just quite absurd. He finishes on 43 points. He will be your #1 seed. Nothing that's still happening can possibly change that. Incidentally, welcome back to the news. Hope you enjoyed that very extensive coverage at the back end of round 16. Something we've wanted to do for a long time, and I'm very glad we were able to bring you that action. On 39 points, we have 3 players who are safely into the top 8. They are not sweating the top 8 announcement at all, and what a lineup they are. You have the 2010-2011 Player of the Year, Brad Nelson, the grinder, one of the all-time great online players, and a terrific standard player. He's proven it again. Seth Manfield and Luis Scott-Vargas. Right now, out on the floor is Brian David Marshall and Luis Scott-Vargas, who had to sweat it till the last round, but he's in again. Here's BDM and LSV.
I didn't think you were going to make it this interesting, Luis.
Yeah, I tried. I was 12-1, lost my round to Brad, lost round to Seth Manfield, and then I ended up beating, I don't remember his exact name, so I'm not going to try to mangle it. A very nice guy from Malaysia playing White Weenie in the last round.
That was Chye Yian Hsiang.
Yeah, he was awesome, dude. We were able to have a fun conversation despite the fact that we were playing for top 8, and he must have lost a pretty tough match.
So, how do you like your deck going into the top 8? Do you feel like maybe it faltered a little on day 2, or was that just a little bit of variance catching up with you?
It was a little bit of variance. There was a little bit of Kalidas. That card's very good. That's the one card we don't want to see. If that card's in play, it's very difficult for us to win. Not impossible, because Westvale Abbey is a big game, but basically I want to play against decks that don't have Kalidas. I really want to play against the White-Green deck. The White-Green deck I think is my best matchup that I know about in the top 8, but I don't know the whole top 8. So once I know that, I'll be able to figure it out.
So every time you're sacrificing a creature, it's triggering their Kalidas? Is that the drama?
Kalidas shuts off Zulaport Cutthroat. It shuts off Catacomb Sifter Scries. It gives them an army of zombies. It's a giant lifelinker. It starts eating those zombies. Can even tangle with Husk. It's just not a great card for us to see.
All right, Luis. Good games tomorrow. I'm sure we'll be talking to you in the morning and to some of your teammates. So good luck tomorrow in the top 8.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, BDM. So that is Luis Scott-Vargas successfully into the top 8, as we know. Brad Nelson on 39, Luis Scott-Vargas on 39. Now, the other player who got to 39 points, we weren't even sure he needed to be perfectly honest, is the reigning world champion and #2 ranked player in the world, Seth Manfield. He made it in by winning over Andre Strasky. But right now, the #1 seed, John Finkel, is out on the floor with our own Brian David Marshall.
I'm here with John Finkel, who is going to be playing in his 16th Pro Tour Top 8 tomorrow. John, 20 years ago, playing in a Pro Tour Top 8. What is this career been like for you to just put up such unprecedented numbers?
I don't really know. Obviously you don't see it coming. I didn't think the Pro Tours would be around for 16 Pro Tours.
Much less 16 top 8s.
Yeah. You have to get lucky to do well. I'm not saying I'm not good at Magic. I'm fine at Magic, you know what I mean? But, you still need to get a lot of positive variance. Our team did not do super well with the deck. I don't know, I'll see the final numbers. Maybe we did okay. I've got a lot of great teammates who I know were better prepared and better at these formats than I was. But for them, it broke their way at the Grand Prix last week, and for me, it broke my way at the Pro Tour. So I'm pretty happy for that.
I know you're a very numbers guy, very, very statistical, but do you get a feeling at a Pro Tour? Like, you obviously got off to such a great start. Do you start to feel like it's your event?
Yeah, you do, and about whatever percentage of time you're supposed to, feel that way and have it not work out, it doesn't. Sometimes you feel like you're like, yeah, this is my event, I got this. And then, you lose a few rounds, you're like, oh, I guess totally not. And, of course, what happens is people like to talk about these narratives, so then after the fact, they remember when they're like, oh, yeah, it was my event, I told these people, and, I told you that it was your event. They don't remember all those times they're like, oh, yeah, I got this one in the bag. And then they just, stall and land or make a terrible misplay and, end up, in 73rd place.
Okay, so what's the plan for tomorrow?
I'd like to get some sleep. I woke up 4:15 a.m. this morning. I felt like a zombie pretty much all day. Actually, once I was locked for top 8, maybe because there was not as much stress, I felt slightly less zombie-like. Or maybe it was okay to feel like a zombie in this, in the Innistrad block. So I want to get enough sleep. I'm going to play some matches. I have some great teammates who will figure out the optimal sideboarding configurations. That'll really help. And then, I'll show up tomorrow and hope that either I win the Pro Tour or I lose enough time to still make my flight.
All right, Jon Finkel in his 3rd top 8 on the plane of Innistrad. He likes the zombies, even if he doesn't always like feeling like one.
Thanks very much, Brian. Rich Hagan here at the news desk, joined by Ian Duke from Inside R&D. So just before, I want to talk to you a little bit about R&D in a moment, Ian, but let's just confirm the 6 people we know for sure: Jon Finkel, 43, Brad Nelson, 39, Luis Scott-Vargas, 39, Seth Manfield, 39. Then your 2 37-pointers, they knew they were in: Steve Rubin with the ID against Jon Finkel on 37, and Shota Yasuoka of Japan, 37. Then we are now waiting for the announcement that will tell us which of the 36s, Ian, will make it in. Could be Luis Salvato of Argentina, could be Andrea Mengucci of Italy, could be Lucas Bohon of the Czech Republic, Gregor Kowalski of Poland, Joe Larson of Sweden, I think almost certainly not. But those are the people in the mix. So we wait for an incredibly tense top 8 announcement. I think it's probably 2 out of 3. We'll see. R&D. Marks out of 10 for Pro Tour Shadows over Innistrad from an entirely R&D perspective thus far.
I mean,
11?
Yeah, 10 out of 10. Everything is looking great here. We had glowing reception from the players as far as the limited format. Constructed looks awesome, really healthy. We saw a bunch of new decks. Top 8 diversity looks good. Top table diversity was looking good all weekend. Yeah, just everything I could ask for from an R&D standpoint.
Now, did you expect it? Because something that Mark Rosewater often says is that in the first hour of the pre-release, the world play tests more with the new set than R&D ever does.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. It's hard to imagine, but I mean, there are millions of Magic players out there, right? And there's a couple dozen people in R&D. So yeah, after a few hours or a week of playtesting, the world knows more about our set than we do. So it's always full of surprises. But it's an awesome surprise, right? We're going to be right on some things, wrong on other things, and we build the game in such a way that it's robust and things will turn out well, even though we're going to be a little bit off here and there in our evaluations.
So the Pro Tour comes a few weeks after the set comes out, and there are some big standard tournaments that get a lot of attention, not least from the 400 people playing here this weekend. You must have had a little nervousness when you saw just how strong the Bant company decks seemed to be in those early weeks of data coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. From an R&D development standpoint, leading up to the tournament, we were a little hesitant, a little bit nervous seeing the results of the early tournaments, the Star City Opens, for example, where the White Weenie Humans decks and the Bant company decks were doing really, really well, and people didn't seem to be maybe innovating as much as we thought they would be. But coming into this Pro Tour, it looks like people were prepared for those decks. They had targets on their head, and they were very beatable. Of course, we saw a Humans deck and the Bant deck still doing well throughout the tournament, but everyone here came with a plan for beating those decks, and it looks like there are a lot of different ways to do it. So for those of you who have been struggling at those against those decks out there at F&M or on Magic Online, you've got plenty of new ideas here this weekend as far as attacking the metagame. So that's great.
So we've got a mountain of standard content coming your way tomorrow because, of course, the top 8 is standard all the way. Best 3 out of 5. Sideboards will only happen after Game 2. Ian, if this had been a Pro Tour with 2 or 3 top decks where everyone knew coming in what they were and had built their sideboards to target just 1 or 2 decks, like in the old days of I've got my 12 cards for Dredge or my 10 cards against Affinity, that change from Game 1 to Game 2 in sideboards could be really massive. My sense so far is that, and obviously we'll actually look at 8 deck lists before tomorrow, but my sense so far is that actually, because the standard format is not super known, super developed, I don't think there are going to be many sideboards tomorrow that are going, if only I was in Game 2 because I've got these 8, 9, 10 cards to bring in. I think sideboards is going to be a really subtle thing tomorrow.
Yeah, it is a lot more subtle in standard than in some other formats. For example, in a format like this, sideboards they're less extreme, right? It's more about sort of tuning, tweaking your deck to be a little bit better against your opponent's deck. So yeah, I don't expect to see those kind of extreme swings that maybe you'll see in modern or some older formats.
What is the correlation between complexity in a set and high-level play talent in a set? Because this is going to be one of the great Pro Tour top 8s we've ever seen. Now, is that because there is room in gameplay to be better? Is that because the cards are narrow enough in their power level from top to bottom that finding the best uses for cards is super hard? What is contributing to this astonishing lineup we have for tomorrow?
Well, I mean, it's a combination of both the limited format and the constructed format. I think in limited, it's a very high synergy format, so there's a lot of room to sort of innovate and master a certain archetype, and I think we saw a lot of strong players doing that. And then, with constructed, it's a brand new rotation where all the cons cards are out. It's a fresh new environment. So yeah, again, lots of room to innovate and succeed.
All right. Well, the great news is it's time for the waiting to finish and to find out those final slots in the top 8 for Pro Tour Shadows over Innistrad. Take it away.
Hello and welcome to the feature match area here in Madrid, Spain. It is time for our top 8 announcement. In first place, on 43 match points from the United States, John Finkel. And in second place, from the United States on 39 match points, Seth Manfield. In third place, with 39 match points from the United States, Brad Nelson. And in fourth place, also on 39 points, and also from the United States, Luis Scott-Vargas. In fifth place, with 37 match points, from Japan, Shota Yasuoka. In sixth place, with 37 match points, from the United States, Steve Rubin. In 7th place, with 36 match points, from Argentina, Luis Salvato. In 8th place, with 36 match points and 0.71% above the 9th place finisher, from Italy, Andrea Mengucci. Ladies and gentlemen, your top 8 for Pro Tour Shadows over Innistrad.